How does a company successfully integrate wealth management and accounting?
First channel, take really good care of our clients. Second channel is helping those clients introduce us to more people. And then the third explicit area of focus is our CPA relationships.
And how does a financial advisor foster a truly successful working relationship with a CPA?
The starting point is that you have to have value alignment with them.
On this episode of Growth Leaders of Wealth Management, I'm speaking with Larry Miles, CEO of Choreo Advisors, and a few of his associates. Marissa Fox Foley, Chief Marketing and Communications Officer, David Winslow, a partner and senior wealth advisor, and also Marci Spivey, who is a tax partner at Cherry Beckert. From the challenges of fostering new partnerships.
We can't just give Choreo access to our client information. It doesn't work that way. Our clients' information is private with us until they decide that they think it's okay for us to share it.
To embracing how wealth management is changing.
I think we're entering a phase in our industry where it is much less about the opportunity for each of us, and it's much more about the opportunity for all of us.
Join me as we delve into the journey of Choreo Advisors and explore the innovation that exists at the intersection of financial advice and accounting. That's all right now on the Growth Leaders of Wealth Management. Choreo Advisors has a really clear mission. They want to be the preferred wealth management provider for the tax professional community. They also want to build better relationships with CPA firms across the country and foster positive interactions between financial advisors and accountants. Larry Miles is the CEO of Choreo Advisors. He partnered with private equity firm Parthenon in advance of their acquisition of RSM's U.S. wealth management practice. I was curious to understand the genesis of the vision for Choreo. Here's Larry to explain.
And what I bonded with the Parthenon folks on was really our vision for the future of the industry. And that was one that was that will be led by firms who have integrated services, technology enabled, and are really able to help their clients with all the things that matter the most to them. And so I'd partnered with Parthenon really with that shared philosophy in mind, and without any idea that RSM or any firm was going to come into play. And it just so happened that shortly after partnering with Parthenon, RSM, that opportunity came about. And what we liked about RSM Wealth Management and what we've liked about our subsequent acquisitions was we found a group of advisors who, because they came from the CPA world, they were former CPAs themselves or former tax or trust and estate attorneys, that they understood both sides of the balance sheet for a client. They understood what it was like to work with a business owner before, during, and after a transaction. And certainly a firm that had already integrated investment management with financial planning and estate planning and tax planning. And so we thought, gosh, this is a great group of advisors to partner with, and that ultimately became the cornerstone of what is today Choreo.
And the vision has played out successfully. Since the acquisition of the RSM U.S. Wealth Management business in 2022, Choreo has experienced tremendous growth, both organic and inorganic. The business has grown to nearly $25 billion in assets with 42 locations and over 120 advisors. I asked Larry about the partnerships with CPA firms that have really become the cornerstone of Choreo's success.
Partnership is for us the key word. All wealth managers have worked with CPAs, some very successfully, others not as much perhaps as they'd like. CPAs are very discerning consumers, and you have to be able to demonstrate the value as a wealth advisor that you can offer clients, and that deep and broad expertise. And so what we realized early on, first with RSM and then with the subsequent acquisitions, was that we needed to continue to be that partner. RSM Wealth started in 2000, and from 2000 to 2022, they were a business line of RSM LLP, the global company. And we knew how important that relationship had been to the wealth group's success and how important it was going to be to our continued success. Not just within the offices where we were already providing wealth management, but in the many dozens of offices around the country that had no wealth management. And so we created a partnership program that has 4 pillars. The first is equity. We would love for all, and many of our CPA and law firm partners do have equity in Choreo. So they continue to be invested in the business. When we've acquired an RIA from a CPA firm, they're not selling the business because they want to get out of the business. In many respects, they're selling it because they like it so much, they want to see it taken to the next level and believe that we can help do that. So equity is the first pillar. The second pillar is revenue share. Again, we work on these clients together. We're very much a part of the same team. We think it's only fair to share revenue with our CPA partners. Third is real estate. We believe proximity breeds partnership. So we sit inside of our CPA firm offices so that we can continue to be, in the cases where we had been there previously, we can continue to be the CPA's partner. We can be a resource. We can get called in at the last minute. Again, it takes time and experience to build relationships with CPAs, perhaps more so than other centers of influence. And we just think that there's no substitute for being right there with them, working in partnership together. And then the fourth pillar that has actually wound up being much more significant and important than at least I thought it would be early on is education. So it's equity, it's revenue share, it's real estate and education, where we provide, just as a part of our partnership, education for all of the CPA firm's employees, from the partner level, where we believe no one knows more about the perks and benefits of being a CPA partner at that specific firm than we do, down to more entry-level folks, where we're providing financial literacy 101 courses for associates and entry-level people, again, all across the country. And so that too breeds partnership. It fosters trust. And okay, well, maybe these Choreo folks can not only help our employees and our teammates, but they can help our clients. So those 4 pillars we found to be massively important for us to continue that partnership. And many of our partners, firms, avail themselves of all 4 of those pillars, and those are the ones that we like to work with.
Since 2022, Choreo Advisors has acquired Enzo Wealth, an RIA, and several wealth management businesses from national accounting firms, including RSM, BDO, Greer Walker, and Sherry Becker. So when it comes to the 4 pillars, is there a mandate that the acquired firms also fulfill all 4?
The only hard and fast mandate or non-negotiable from our perspective, and again, I think it goes back to us wanting to be partners, is that we are the exclusive wealth partner for the firms that we partner with. And again, for us, that's a non-negotiable, because we want to be their partner, just like hopefully they want to be our partner. And we believe in monogamous relationships, and that's our non-negotiable because of what we're going to invest in the partnership and hopefully what they do. I don't think for 1 minute that we get every wealth management lead from each of these firms. Not yet. Hopefully one day. But in terms of formal partnerships, paid or unpaid, we're the only one. It definitely means that we're co-located, so we're physically in the CPA firm's offices, paying rent and full-fledged tenants in the office. It can often mean a co-branding opportunity where there's a part of the office that looks and feels like Choreo and has the Choreo name and signage, so that clients feel welcome and everybody understands the close partnership.
The vision and the pillars for the business are simple and clear, but how does that vision translate to an acquisition and a subsequent integration? David Winslow was a partner with RSM prior to the Parthenon acquisition. Now he's a partner and senior wealth advisor with Choreo. His career has given him experience on both sides of the business, financial advising and accounting. Still, after a decade with RSM, what was he feeling when he learned about the Parthenon deal? Here's David.
First of all, I'm a human being, so the first kind of emotion was like terrified of change, right? We had been at the same firm for 15 plus years. There was a certain amount of kind of stability and comfort. So, anytime you hear like there's going to be a dramatic change coming, your first reaction is kind of recoil against that change. I mean, I think that's just human nature. So, like all things, I had to work through those emotions and, really start to listen to what Larry and other senior leaders were telling me about their vision for the firm. And I kind of felt like the anxiety start to kind of melt away as we got further into like what those benefits were, because I had gotten my start in a traditional financial services firm. And one of the main reasons I was attracted to public accounting was because of this ethos around, putting clients first, delivering 100% objective advice. And that's why I gravitated to public accounting. So when you start hearing private equity, when you start hearing Wall Street, when you start hearing lift out, to me, it was a real concern that we were kind of going back to a place that I wasn't really 100% comfortable with. And so, again, I had to be open-minded. I had to be willing to change. I had to listen. And once kind of heard the vision and where the firm was going, felt super energized and positive about it.
Choreo's central vision is compelling and fairly simple. They're focused on what is good for the client as the primary driver of growth. Here's Larry Miles again talking about Choreo's growth levers.
Every time we talk about growing our business, it's always within the context of the first best way to grow is to take really good care of our existing clients. Make sure that our existing clients know all the different ways that we can help them. Make sure that our clients are getting everything that they need. And that's seen us expand our services. That's seen us redouble our efforts to make sure our clients know what we're capable of. And maybe there's something they didn't need a couple years ago that they do need now that we can help them with. So when we think about growth channels and communications and marketing and delivering on our client experience, it starts with our current clients. We take really good care of them. They'll never leave. They can then introduce us. Our second kind of focus of growth is our clients are very happy with us, and that's not something we take for granted or say lightly. But we're very purposeful about surveying our clients to better understand what we could be doing for them. And our clients are telling us they're very happy. And so we want to make it easier for our current clients to introduce us to more happy clients. And from our perspective, we think not only in our case at Choreo, but I think industry-wide that is often an overlooked growth channel. In the grand scheme of things, it's not as interesting as a custodial referral program or M&A, but I'm sure you've seen the same surveys that I have. Most financial advisors' clients, one, don't know all the services that their advisor offers. Two, they don't know that their financial advisor is looking to grow. All they hear from their wealth advisors, I'm really busy, I'm traveling, I'm here, I'm there. Well, gosh, I must not send them any new business because they're already busy. I want to make sure they have time for me. And so, we think first channel, take really good care of our clients. Second channel is helping those clients introduce us to more people who need and value our services. And then the third explicit area of focus is our CPA relationships. And we think that, again, has been a huge driver of our success to date, not just Choreo to date, but looking back at our legacy firms. And we think it's a potentially unique or different part of our story. These exclusive partnerships, the 4 pillars. These are things that not all firms have an opportunity to leverage. And winning that CPA's trust is not easy. A CPA is not going to send us a client just because we sit in the office or we provide education. They have to believe that we're going to do a really good job for that client. And as much as it will take time to win that trust and build those relationships, I would rather do it while sitting inside of their offices, while providing education, while being able to share revenue, while having common ownership. I think that gives us a bit of a head start. So those are definitely the areas of focus for us. It's all about quality over quantity. I don't think we'll be reading any headlines anytime soon about Choreo snaps up 6th acquisition of the year. That's just not the approach that we're taking to building what we hope is a 100-year plus business with Choreo that allows us to take care of our clients for generations.
The client is at the center of the vision, but acquisitions and change can be hard, especially when it concerns people's finances, or in some cases, their entire life savings. David Winslow, who came to Choreo from RSM, explains.
Anytime that you inject uncertainty and you're talking about people's life savings into any conversation, it's going to trigger a certain emotion from clients around concern. I mean, they're entrusting us with their life. I mean, literally their life savings. I mean, most of my clients came from business owners that successfully built a business and then sold it. And so this is literally their livelihood. And so, they're depending on this. And so when you start injecting change into something where they really want calm and stability, it's going to trigger an emotion in a lot of conversations. And the brand itself and the rebrand of the firm was not really the challenge, because I mean, I think most people, most people have gotten used, most consumers have gotten used to essentially change from a
Right.
brand standpoint. So Merrill Lynch is now part of Bank of America, and Smith Barney is now part of Morgan Stanley. I mean, so I think investors and consumers have kind of become a little bit numb to kind of brand changes. So it was less about the brand than the qualitative conversations around, is your team staying intact? Are we going to pay more in fees? It was that kind of layer and waterfall of a lot of conversations and questions that we had to answer to ultimately make sure our clients were comfortable with it. I would also say that there was a lot of concern about private equity being a key stakeholder in this, because I think that again triggers an emotion it's unfounded, by the way, but an emotion with consumers around what does private equity mean, and that they're not going to be investing, and that they're not going to be client centered. And I can tell you that Parthenon's been the exact opposite of that in my experience of working with them.
Marci Spivey is a tax partner at accounting firm Cherry Beckert. Cherry Beckert Wealth Management was officially acquired by Choreo in 2023. The deal was formed as a strategic partnership, which combined the teams and resources of both firms in the hopes of future growth. Marci says that in order to serve her clients well, she needs to be able to offer a coordinated wealth management experience. And that means asking the right questions.
Okay, how can we best serve our wealthy families and our people who are starting to see liquidity from their business holdings or are looking to exit their business? How can we partner with a firm to best kind of give them a coordinated approach? And to me, Choreo, already knows sort of where we are, where our owners are, where our people are, and we're doing the tax side of things. And oftentimes estate planning and other things for the clients, we're able to grab onto them and help serve our clients. And in leading our private client services group, mostly it's my job to make sure that we're thinking about Choreo in the right way, that we're thinking about our clients who may benefit from an introduction to Choreo. So we partner with Choreo on an annual and actually a weekly basis to develop strategy on how to sort of penetrate the message throughout our partner group and our client service group, and make sure that they understand what Choreo can offer, and also make sure that they are thinking about when might be an opportune time to introduce a client to Choreo. Things that are involved in this strategy is just kind of formulating a plan in order to get in front of different geographies of people and also different industries of people, not just the people who serve the wealthy families, but people that maybe serve business owners in industrial or technology or something like that might be thinking about an exit. So from a geography and from a industry perspective, making sure that we're making connections on a periodic basis, and also being industry specific. So when we do, for example, a wealth management educational seminar for an internal group of Cherry Beckert professionals. If we are talking to the private equity people, we want to make sure that the planning discussion is related to private equity owners. Same thing goes for people that are maybe owners of technology companies, for example.
Cherry Beckert is partnered with Choreo, but they are not Choreo's only partner. That raises some challenges. For one, barriers exist when it comes to sharing clients. And secondly, real decisions need to be made about how they appear together in public.
There is more focus on the internal awareness, training, understanding. We do go to market together sometimes. We have done podcasts together. We have been visible together in the market. We have published small pieces together, things like that, so that, clients will see that we're partnered if they really want to find us out there. But, we're not Choreo's only partner. So,
Right.
it's not that we're always out there together. It's more
Right,
up to the
right.
individual client service professional to decide when it's a good opportunity potentially, and it would serve the client's best interest to introduce them. We can't just give Choreo access to our client information and have them go through and say, okay, we think these would be good clients for us. Can we meet them? It doesn't work that way. Our clients' information is private with us until they decide that they think it's okay for us to share it. So, that I would say is a barrier, if you will, to us being able to really synergize, our approach to finding growth and new clients for each other. But it's there for a reason, and we respect that.
The regulatory complexities accounting firms face with building out wealth management businesses appears to be an important driver for accounting firms who are looking for alternative solutions. David Winslow explains more.
The core issue here is SEC independence. If you want to get into the weeds on, why is there regulatory challenges of having an accounting firm and a wealth management practice? It was that the audit practice of a public accounting firm is subject to very strict SEC independence rules. Essentially, a wealth management business is also regulated by the SEC, but in a totally different way. But maintaining that independence at an accounting firm was going to be a real challenge moving forward. I'll give you a real life example. So, if we wanted to invest in a private equity fund when we were part of RSM, it was very difficult for us to do that. We could do an independence check to make sure that the fund was not an audit client of the firm, but if they went out and purchased a widget maker in Kansas that was having an audit done by RSM, we were conflicted out. So, in terms of where RSM was going and their growth and our growth, it probably was not sustainable over the long haul for us to be part of one group, which is why the Big Four exited wealth management, many years ago.
And there is one more challenge I'd like to highlight. It exists at the very heart of Choreo's forward-thinking integrated wealth management and accounting experience, and that's the relationship between CPA and financial advisor. Sometimes an advisor doesn't clearly understand the tight relationship between an accountant and their client, or an accountant doesn't understand the value a financial advisor can offer. During his career, David Winslow has worked on both sides of the aisle. Here is his take on these issues.
I think the biggest challenge with financial advisors working with people, accountants in public accounting is the starting point is that you have to have value alignment with them. And I think a big mistake that a lot of financial advisors make is that they want to jump into talking about what are their capabilities and how they can serve clients. And the real starting point with the relationship with an accountant is talking to them about value alignment, because their values as a profession are a little bit different than the financial advisory world. And so having that conversation first. So, like, for instance, like when I was working in a wirehouse, if you were going to move up in the world, business development was the number one skill set that you wanted to emphasize. And then you might have work ethic right below it, and then technical skills below that. Well, in public accounting, it's inverted. Most public accountants respond more favorably to somebody that technically knows their craft very well, that are technicians. They respond to people that
Mm-hmm.
have high
Mm-hmm.
degree of work ethics because they work very hard in public accounting. And business development is further down the list. It's becoming more and more important as firms are trying to grow and they're trying to have more balance. But at their core, their value system is just different when you're working with them. The other big thing with accountants is you need to have a business model that not only it has to guarantee that it's objective, conflict-free advice, essentially. And there's a lot of what traditional wealth management firms that simply cannot offer from a alignment standpoint that kind of objective advice through no fault of their own. It's just the way the business was built or their platform. So, but to me, if you're going to be able to have a super great collaborative relationship with a public accountant, it starts with having the right values that align with them. You can't really move things forward if you don't, from my perspective, at least.
What is the key to creating a new brand for a successful, established business that already has a significant brand name? Marissa Fox Foley has tackled that question. She's Choreo's Chief Marketing and Communications Officer, and she was tasked with integrating the 20-year history of RSM wealth management with the emergence of Choreo. Let's learn from Marissa.
So I think the first and most important underlying ethos that we established for a marketing perspective, but also a strategy perspective overall for the organization, was that of complete respect. Even though we had the opportunity to build a completely new narrative, that narrative was only going to be successful if we paid homage and respect to what had built such a great organization to begin with. So that underlying foundational ethos of respect really does permeate everything we do. So that's table stakes in a way, but it really important and something we consistently come back to and always remind ourselves of.
With a big job ahead of her and her marketing team, Marissa broke down her initial marketing strategy into 4 buckets. Here she's going to talk about where she started and why.
If you can think about it in 4 buckets, if you will. The first was really around the need to develop a comprehensive and really cohesive brand strategy. Again, the respect and the ethos that had built a very, very successful wealth management business was incredibly important to carry through. And at the same time, though, there was an opportunity to really augment the value proposition that is inherent upon now being a standalone RIA. Right? So if you think brand strategy and what is the new and evolved value proposition, that was really the first pillar. The second most important element of how I thought about approaching this challenge was really around alignment of resources. So oftentimes when organizations are lifted out, they don't always have access to, in fact, most often do not have access to the same types of strategies or content or systems, in some cases, even people who they used to have access to. So really understanding how we were going to organize and allocate resources right from the very beginning was a critical part. That's a critical part of the strategic underpinning and build of the lift out. And then if you really think about where those resources get allocated, certainly from a marketing and brand standpoint, where are the elements and the channels that are going to deliver the immediate wins, right? It's so important, especially as a new organization, to be able to deliver those quick wins that really not only help folks get fired up, but demonstrate, again, the value that you can now bring to the table of being a standalone organization. So when we looked at our digital opportunities, our social channels, our targeted campaigns, and even our introduction, right, into the wealth management industry, we had to do so with the lens of, we are a new organization. It's a very crowded space. So how can we be really, really laser focused on the resource allocation that's going to make the biggest difference for us, especially coming out of the gate? Related to that is really the third pillar of robust infrastructure. So no modern marketing organization, especially in the wealth management space, can really exist without a top tier CRM, really strong analytics, and great marketing automation. So that, again, was the third primary pillar kind of underlying the original build out. And the fourth, and in some ways the most important here, is the build out of the team. right? So, and when I say team, it is certainly the internal team, our actual and marketing and communications employees, but also the larger ecosystem of partners, of marketing partners, of content producers, of digital experts who we have as part of our umbrella, right? Because it's not only those who are internal who are critical to develop and really extend the brand. It's how we leverage the great partners that we all have access to in the industry to help do it for us.
Managing marketing at a rapidly growing and scaling business, it's hard. I often consider marketing to be one great big experiment that needs to be tested and constantly improved over time. I was very eager to learn from Marissa about the things that didn't work from the outset.
A lot of lessons learned. The organic growth focused really is core to the ultimate value proposition of the organization. It became very clear to me that it was, and this is an area where I and my team, but essentially I as the leader, really did need to tweak my approach and really strive for some improvement, was upon the way that we involve our advisors in the co-creation of the value proposition and go-to-market strategy that we have as an organization is incredibly, incredibly important all the time, number one, but especially when you are growing rapidly and are integrating firms into what is already a new organization. So for as thoughtful and diligent and organized and relying on marketing best practices as I would like to think I am and was, and same with my team, we needed to really, I think, embrace and make additional inroads and opportunities to involve our advisors more in the dialogue instead of presenting them what might have been close to or a finished product. Again, pulling back a step or two and making sure that they, as the core audience, right, of the value proposition, they are the manifestation of the value proposition in the market. So I really needed to take a deep, long look at the way that we were creating our content strategy to make sure that our advisor's voice was very, very well thought out. And I think threaded through is probably a nice way to put it, threaded through the entire storyline, as opposed to, again, being this is what the marketing team has developed for you. So I think that was probably one of the best and most humbling learnings as an executive, is to make sure that one is always keeping his, her, or their pulse on the audience. And in this case, our core audience, especially again at this pivotal growth and integration standpoint, that core audience really is our advisors.
So what did that look like? Does that look like pulling together a committee so you can make sure that you get that advisor voice? Is it focus groups? Is it get roadshows? I mean, how did you actually do that?
All of the above. Yes. So a tremendous amount of time spent both digitally and in person, so virtually and in person with our advisors, reviewing, not only reviewing material, but really reviewing ideas. And this is where there were some really, really fantastic sparks, because once we started to roadshow ourselves a bit more, right, as an organization and as a team, and certainly as a marketing team, the opportunity set and the creativity, and again, that spark of insight from our advisors became much easier to capture because they knew that they had a platform to speak. They knew they had a platform to engage, right, with the marketing and communications and executive leadership within the firm, and to really have their voices be heard. So we have any number of forums. I know this is pretty commonplace within the industry, but the advisor growth forums, the in-person events that we do. But what my team does as well is we provide a lot of local and we call on the ground support. So we have many different locations, as you know, across the country, and there's potentially different flavors of clients or client events and PR or media training, right, that will make the biggest impact in that local community, right? So we think through what's a national strategy buoyed for advisors with national resources and budget, but then how does it really translate at that local level? And the only way that we know how it translates if we're actually there, right, and having these conversations and part of the dialogue, and make sure too that our advisors understand that they have a very open feedback loop, right? This is not a monologue. This is really a dialogue with our advisors. You'll hear many of us say that, Choreo can be whatever we want it to be, let's make it great. That is literally a very simple phrase, but it's something that each of us repeats as an executive with our team and in many different forums, because we do have a really unique opportunity. And I think this is what's fun and daunting as well. But for advisors who do want to join us, is that they have a voice in that co-creation of what a future company is going to look like.
I think that's such an important lesson, Marissa. In a lot of ways, we find when we are recruiting people to FICOM that that's actually one of the habits that we have to break. So I feel like it's it feels like a consistent habit across sort of marketers in general, is that I need to produce this sort of polished, perfect product. And in today's environment, that is hard to do because it's such a our industry in particular is such a relationship-based business, but I think that the best marketing today is really like human first and heart-centered. And so if you're not seeking the voice of the client, and in your case at Choreo, the voice of the advisor, then it's really difficult to sort of achieve the success that you're looking to achieve because you're missing like the heart of it all.
Marketing is a very, very hungry beast, right? There are so many different inputs, there are so many different outputs, and it's a constant review and really recalibration, I think, and challenging assumptions. So, this notion again, and this is for me as a marketer and the arc of my career, being comfortable that it's okay to pivot, right? I think we're typically used to working at such a breakneck pace, and A is going to lead to B is going to lead to C, and that notion, while I think helps from an organizational standpoint, right? It certainly helps get you organized and set up, but it doesn't necessarily reflect the needs or wants of the customer.
Choreo has a lot of different audiences to speak to. There's the internal audience, that's their current employees, wealth advisors, and direct Choreo clients. But there's also CPA partner alliance firms and their employees and clients. Add to that law firms and other advisory firms that Choreo might wish to bring on board. The list goes on and on. So how does Choreo prioritize their marketing strategy from an audience perspective?
The majority is really focused now, and think of it a barbell. The CPA channel, there's a tremendous amount of strategic and business development and marketing support centered around that CPA channel. It really is our DNA. So our CPA partnerships, the strategy, and therefore all of the marketing and communications that fall under the CPA channel. It's a CPA partner themselves, right? It's their teams. It's then the clients of those CPA partners. It's the employees of the CPA firm. So what we do is we work very closely with the Choreo growth team and therefore the business development team, my team, as well as our lead advisors who are very, very involved in the day-to-day relationship management and client management, especially, of course, of our jointly shared clients of the CPA channel. So we've actually organized our marketing deliverables in a very channel specific manner. So the CPA channel in and of itself has dedicated communications. It has a dedicated employee newsletter. Wow. It has dedicated thought leadership. It has dedicated podcasts. It has dedicated event strategy. It is very, very segmented in its approach because it's primarily a B2B relationship. Right, so that's how we start the strategy, and then all of the deliverables underneath that, right, for marketing, business development, communications, and of course advisor and client support. On the other end of the spectrum, of course, we do have wonderful advisors who are nurturing and growing their high net worth client pipeline. So our marketing platform for those advisors is also robust in the sense that we have dedicated marketing, thought leadership content, automated campaigns, and digital infrastructure that enables our advisors to, and there's also, I should mention, referral training, which is we found a really, really powerful component of the advisor value proposition within Choreo. Dedicated referral training, not just a a one-off or a reminder type of because that's not training, right? We have dedicated training that each advisor goes through on a regular basis to make sure that they're really activating and nurturing their referral pipeline as well. Marketing is involved in all of that, right? Because the importance and the ability to communicate again and to really follow the thread of the story, it goes through all aspects of every channel. So as you can imagine, though, the CPA channel, just given how vast it is, right? CPA and other centers of influence, and being a B2B market, it requires a go-to-market strategy that really has more of that B2B ethos. So we really have to be thoughtful about segmenting our audiences, a really great CRM and really great marketing automation and really good analytics so that we can see in very real time what content is resonating with which audience member. Because if you're not interested in fill in the blank content, I'm not going to serve it up for you in the next touch point, right? The next outreach that we have.
Obviously, with any good marketing strategy, there's always going to be more work to do. So, going forward, what are Choreo's top marketing priorities?
So the build out of the advisor growth marketing team is first and foremost. So we started that with our most recent VP hire, who's absolutely tremendous. Building out a team of direct reports under her is going to really be a game changer for us. And here is why. One of the most important elements, not only from the scalability, but again, personalization, is the ability to have more experts within the marketing team working really closely with our practice management and business consulting field force. That's where I think, and I call it the connective tissue. The connective tissue of those two disciplines, I think, is absolutely imperative in the wealth management space if we are going to continue to enable our sales as well as our service paths. There are several advisors, dozens, hundreds, thousands, maybe across the industry who can sell and serve. Then there are advisors who would prefer to primary sell. Then there are advisors who would prefer to primarily serve, right? So for us to really maximize the potpourri, if you will, of those advisors who we all likely have in our ecosystem, we have to have a very, very strong marketing and practice management infrastructure. So that's where I'm really most excited is because the build out of my marketing team will also mirror the build out of our practice management team. So again, that connective tissue and those layers of VPs working together is going to be absolutely critical. The other element that I'm really excited to invest more in is around corporate communications, as well as digital marketing and analytics. I mean, Meg, the pace of change, the ability to utilize data. We could spend 3 days talking about the opportunity or pitfalls of generative AI. But the fact of the matter is that as marketers, and especially in any sort of modern marketing wealth management organization, we do need to have access to tools that are nimble and that enable us to pivot when we need to. So again, the digital infrastructure will continue to be a point of investment, both from the technology, but also the people who are involved. So we'll be bringing on additional data analytics folks to work within the digital marketing side of our team. Again, the advisor growth focus, and then also eventually building out corporate communications. All corporate communications are communications, right? This notion of having really, really well thought out, well articulated internal communications to help advance, in many cases, accelerate the ability for us to not only start, but get through and then finish projects and initiatives and celebrate them and make sure that everybody in the organization knows where his or her or their contribution is, right? And the what's in it for me, that message needs to resonate with a lot of different employee types, right? Whether you're serving, whether you're selling, whether you're in operations, whether you're a home office executive, regardless of what team you're on, you should really have knowledge of and an understanding and a voice in the role you play within the organization. So those are just some of the threads that I'm trying to keep an eye on and pull them all together as we create our story.
The story of Choreo is still being created. So what does the Choreo team hope the business will look like in the next 3 to 5 years? How will they define success? Here's CEO Larry Miles to lay out that vision.
For us, over the next 3 to 5 years, our vision is pretty straightforward. We want to build a 100-year business, so make really good long-term decisions and investments and begin to see them paying off over that next 3 to 5 year period. We want to build a company that we are all proud of, that helps shape the future of our industry, which we are extremely excited about the future of our industry. And we want to be a small part of a much larger story because we believe that firms like ours, and there are many, that we can have a big impact on our clients, and those clients in turn can have a big impact on their communities. And if we're able to work with enough communities, and right now we have offices in 42 different cities and towns, that we can be a part of shaping the future of our country. And that is a way of being of service that is incredibly important to everybody at Choreo, whether they're an advisor working with clients or they're back office overhead folks like myself. We want to be of service to others, and in 3 to 5 years, we hope to have brought our services to more people who need and value them and continue to find more ways of helping our existing clients. We're in the midst right now of a $10 million investment in marketing and technology that we think is critically important to not only deliver on our current client experience, but to expand that experience. That $10 million investment is across people, process, and technology. I think we're entering a phase in our industry where it is much less about the opportunity for each of us, and it's much more about the opportunity for all of us. And I'm excited to see this new generation of industry leader emerge. It's very exciting to see what Colony and Focus are doing with their terrific leaders. And hopefully as a part of that next generation of leadership, again, Choreo can play a small part in a much larger story. And I think there'll be a lot of greater good for our country and our communities and all of our clients as that next generation of leadership and that next generation of firms that are going to define the next quarter century start to emerge and present themselves. And we're really excited about that.
It is true that financial advisors often think of CPAs as a really strong referral source, and yet there has always been an arm's length distance between the two. Choreo is working to change that by creating a business model for integrating accounting with wealth management. After speaking with the CEO and Chief Marketing Officer for Choreo, as well as 2 of their partners, here are my top 5 takeaways. 1. Choreo's 4-pillar approach to their partnerships provides them with a clear vision for current operations and future growth. The first pillar is equity, the second is revenue share, the third is real estate and proximity, and the fourth is education. 2, partnership is a key word. For Choreo, acquisition is the formation of a strategic partnership. As such, they want their partners to feel invested in the company's success and included in every decision, even marketing. For Choreo, a partnership also requires exclusivity. They want to be the exclusive wealth partner for firms they work with. This is non-negotiable. 3, focus on what is good for the client. When considering growth channels, marketing and communication, and delivering on the client experience, keep your focus on serving your current clients with a mind towards future clients. When it comes to marketing, involve advisors in the co-creation of the value proposition. Integrate the advisor's voice. And as you make marketing decisions, be willing to review, recalibrate, and challenge your assumptions. It is easy to think that A will lead to B and B will lead to C, but remember, that doesn't always reflect the needs of the customer. 5, the integration of wealth management with accounting comes with its own set of challenges. For a financial advisor who is hoping to forge a good relationship with an accountant, discussing value alignment is a very important place to start. I'd love to hear your takeaways from Choreo's journey to truly integrate wealth management and accounting. I'd love it if you would find me on LinkedIn and let me know. You can find a link to my profile in the show notes. For more valuable growth insights and resources, please visit ficompartners.com/insights. Join us for the next episode when we'll be talking to Merit Financial Advisors. Until next time, this is Meg Carpenter, CEO and co-founder of FICOM, and your host of Growth Leaders of Wealth Management.